6-week-old puppies, and got 3 of them here, and it's time for wormings and shots. So let's go over what we do. First, shots. This can vary by, different people have different ideas, but what we do is first shots are 6 weeks, then every 3 weeks afterwards. So 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks. Then they get their rabies at 15 weeks. It's very important that you do your shots with a regular basis. If you get them too close together or too far apart, they're ineffective. So I'm not going to go into the details of why, but it's important that you do this on time. All right, what are we giving? This is a 5-way shot. All shots that I know of come in a 2-part formula. You get a liquid and you get a powder. And what you do is you take a syringe, and I'm going to show you the process, but you're going to suck the fluid up out of this one, stick it into this one, suck it back into the syringe, give it to the puppy on a fold of skin, so what's called subcutaneous, on its neck. Very important that these guys are refrigerated. You do not want these to get warm before you administer them. So if you order these online, make sure that you order them overnight with an ice pack. If you get them from your vet, transport them home on ice. Again, very important that these things don't get warmed up before you use them. All right, so there's different kinds of vaccines. There's live, there's killed vaccines. A 5-in-1 shot, it covers the majority of things that your dog would be exposed to. You can get 7-in-1 shots that add things like kennel cough and bordetella. We don't have our dogs in a high traffic dog environment at all. They're in our kitchen. So we're not going to worry with those extra things. But it's not a lot more expensive. I bought these, I think, at Allied Vet. A pack of 25 was something around $100. And then, $30 for the overnight shipping and a styrofoam box. So, I'm in it for about $7 a shot. If you go to your vet, I think a vet's typically going to charge something like $50 a shot because there's an office visit and all this other stuff that goes on with it. Should you go to the vet to do it? If you're uncomfortable with doing this, absolutely, you should go to the vet. But if you're comfortable with giving this, it's easy to do. You don't expose your dogs to other sick dogs at a vet's office. You don't have to go through the hour run of getting them there and back. So for us, it's a no-brainer. The one that you cannot do, well, you can do it, but you won't get a tag, is the rabies. To get a rabies tag, which is required, you have to have a licensed veterinarian and give the rabies tag. All right, so let's look at what we get. After that, by the way, we're going to do a worming with fendobendazole or Safeguard. We'll worry about that here in a moment. All right, so the first part's going to be getting this loaded up. Let's see if I can put this somewhere. I've got it's a 3C syringe. A 1cc syringe is plenty big enough. I've got a 22 gauge needle. You could use an 18 gauge, so between 18 and 22. 18's a bit bigger. I like the 22s because it's less trauma for the puppy. Not that it's really going to be an issue at all. All right. New needle every time for every puppy, new syringe every time. Don't want to be using stuff that could be contaminated. I'm not wearing gloves because I'm not going to handle the needles. And remember, the dog itself is not sterilized, but I am going to sterilize the area where I poke the needle. So people complain that I don't wear gloves. My vet doesn't wear gloves doing this. All right, so number one, make sure that that needle goes on there properly. This is what's called a lure lock. It's got a lock on it. Whoops, I get in. There we go. It's got a lock on it. But you want to make sure that thing is squeezed down tight. I've had this problem before. You go ahead and you inject. When you press the plunger, the needle blows off the end. You just squirt all of the vaccination over the dog's back, and you've just wasted a vaccination. So make sure that is on there tight. All right, so there we go. Now, 2 parts. You've got, and let's see, I've got to get the fresh one. Here it is. You've got the liquid part, and it's going to be hard for you to see the liquid in there, but I can tell you there is liquid in there. And the technique for this is there's a little center area there, kind of a bullseye. I'm going to stick this needle right into the end of that, like that. Then you don't want to stick the needle in too far, otherwise you just suck air up from the top of the bottle. So you probably can't see this happening, but if I've got my fat fingers out of the way, you'd see there's liquid going down into, and I've got it all. So you can see I've got the liquid down into the syringe there. So you can see that liquid. All right, so that part's done. All right. So now here comes the powder, and you can see, it's going to be hard for you to see it, but you can see it's hard to see, it's clear. Okay, same thing again. Got a little bullseye, stick this in. A little bit different setup this time. You can actually see a notch. There's a little notch there. You won't be able to see it on camera, but I can see the needle tip. I'm going to pull this down, and there goes the fluid into the So by the way, I didn't tell you this, sorry. What I'm doing is I put the liquid into this, I gave it a little shake, mixed it up, and then I'm pulling this out to the syringe. I didn't show you that step. So you see it's gone pink, so it's much easier to see it now. And you'll see as I suck it down, that liquid level starts to disappear, and there it all goes, and now it's all into the syringe, and there it is. Shot's ready to go. Easy, easy, easy peasy. All right, so I've actually prepared the other shots already. So I've got 3 shots. What's the difference here? This is a 1 cc syringe. These other ones are 3 cc's. It makes 0 difference. But new needles every time. Make sure they're securely fastened. Don't touch the tips on anything. I've got myself a cotton pad over here. I'm going to lay these on a cotton pad, which you can see off to the side there, so that they don't get contaminated until I'm ready to go. Then I'm going to get some good old alcohol. I think this is 80%, I'm not sure, 70%, I mean 70, 81, 90%, all the same difference. Get yourself a pad, get it nicely soaked up, then grab a puppy. So here comes a puppy. Okay, so here's the puppy, and she's fussing around because I just picked her up, she was sleeping. What I'm going to do is I'm going to inject this under the skin. So the idea is that you lift this up and you inject straight into that skin fold. Don't go in it sideways because you could go all the way through the flesh and back out the other side. Obviously, it's not going to hurt the puppy, but you're just going to squirt the vaccination all over the place. Do tent it up because you don't want to give an injection into the muscle of the neck. So you don't want to make sure this is lifted up so you can just stick the needle into the fold of the skin. That's what's called subcutaneous, and not where it's flat and you're poking it into. I mean, you could potentially damage the spine, certainly in the muscle. It's not a intramuscular injection. This is a subcutaneous injection. Okay, so I already got this pad soaked up with alcohol. I'm now just going to clean the area that I'm going to give the injection. Why am I doing that? Because I don't want any muck and debris and detritus on her fur being pushed into where the shot's going to be. That's good enough for that. All right. So now the technique is lift the skin up. See if you can see it. Lift the skin up. There it is. Keep your fingers away from the area that you've actually physically put the alcohol on. And then it's a quick jab straight in through the skin, and then just inject it. And that's it. And then a little rub. That's done. Very easy. Now, she didn't fuss with that at all. She wasn't worried about that. Some puppies will give a little squeal when you put the shot in. If you use a nice new fresh needle and you do it quickly, they typically won't. You may see a puppy that starts to itch this area back here because they've got kind of a local reaction to the injection. I've never seen it happen, but puppies can have an adverse reaction to a shot. So I think it's a good idea that you hang around for the next hour just to make sure that everybody's happy and nothing bad's happening. If something bad was happening, maybe a dog had a seizure or something, of course, immediately off to the vet right away. That's an emergency. Never seen it happen, but just be aware of the fact that you want to make sure your puppy's just acting like this where basically nothing's happened. Okay. So now I'm going to do 3 more, and I'm going to do this off camera because I don't want to waste your time, and then we're going to do the worming. Now it's worming time. So they're 6 weeks old. They're going to get wormed at 6. They start off being wormed with parental Paramate and Emax 2 at 2 and 4 weeks. One time, one dosage only. When they get to be 6 weeks, you then switch over to fendobendazole, goat wormer, or Safeguard, Panicure, all the same things. You can buy this in a lot smaller quantities than this. This is about $100 for, I think, a litre of it. It lasts a long time. It's 1 mil or 1 cc for every 5 pounds of body weight. This puppy weighs 5 pounds, so it's going to get 1 cc or 1 mil, and it's going to get that for 3 days in a row. So we're going to do that. Now, they don't really care for this stuff, so you've got to get them to lap it up, basically. So don't choke the puppy. Do give this a good shake before you pull out the medicine. I've got 3 cc's here. Why? I'm feeding 3 puppies, doing 3 puppies. I look at them each 1 cc. It's just much easier to put it all in one syringe, and I can just very quickly give it to them. All right, so let's get this done. So let's just move this camera around. Let's see what she thinks about this. So the hard part is to get them to get started with it, get their mouth open, Give her a little bit, let her have a taste of it. And there she goes, now she's licking it up. There we go, good little puppy. There we go, done. She took it all, she lapped it all up. Good, so she's going to do that today, tomorrow and the next day. 3 dosages. 1 mil for 5 pounds of body weight. I'm also going to do Mum as well. Mum weighs 17 pounds, so I'm going to give her about 3.5 mils as well. So she'll get that for the next 3 days. It just helps knock out all kinds of parasites and worms. It's very safe stuff. If you gave them 5 times the dosage, I don't think you'd get into any trouble, but I mean, obviously you don't want to do that. But it's very safe stuff. Never ever had any kind of reaction to this. And then of course the other thing you're going to say is, look, my dogs don't have parasites, they don't have worms, there's no evidence in the poop, but all dogs have a little bit of parasites in them. So Mum did have parasites. We did worm her for 3 days starting 10 days before whelp, and for 3 days starting 7 days after whelp. She got a dosage of this, fenbendazole, just to knock out the just residual parasites that she would have that could get passed on to puppies. And remember, puppies have not really developed any immunity towards any of this stuff, so this gives them kind of an ability to kind of get rid of any parasites. Their poop looks fine, I'm sure they're fine, but again, we always do this, and you should too. Also, look, keep records of this, because the future owners of the dog are going to want to know, and the vet's going to want to know, when were they wormed, what were they wormed with, how much were they given, what shots were they given. So what we do is we take the labels off this and we put that on the shot record so that the dog knows exactly what shot was given and what date it was given. So keep records of all this stuff, because if you don't, the new adopters of these puppies will have to start all over again, because the vet will not be convinced that what you did was right. So keep a record of it. It'll help out. Bye. So it's been 5 minutes. Everybody's back to nursing. Everybody's had their shots. Everybody had a worming, including Mum. Nobody's having any adverse reactions. The tape, by the way, on that puppy's ears is just make his ears stay up. His ears are a bit floppy. That's what that's about. So, and then we're putting up this, because we can do the same thing tomorrow. I've washed out the syringe. I'm going to reuse the syringe. There's no reason not to. There's nothing sterile about that. Doesn't need to be refrigerated, but does want to be kept in a cool place. Got a shelf life of probably well over a year. And then we've kept the shots. We'll put those little labels on the shot records for the 3 puppies, so the future owners and the vet will know exactly what was done and when.